All right, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you tapping in. So today we want to talk about wedges, okay? And specifically, I want to talk about 100 yards to about 50 yards. So that scoring zone, having to hit those kind of half and three-quarter wedges and how to get the most out of your game in that red zone scoring area. It's very crucial, especially if you're looking to lower your handicap. No matter what level you're at currently, if you improve on these 100-yard and in shots, you're most likely going to lower your handicap, and sometimes by a lot whenever we have a lot of room for improvement in this area, okay? So one thing that I like to do is, obviously if you have TrackMan, it's awesome. If you have some type of distance measuring device, this will really help you. There's plenty of options out there from anywhere to like 150 to $20,000 for a TrackMan, but there's a lot of options out there for you to get some type of distance measuring device, okay? All you need is one that's going to tell you carry distance, and that's really going to help you out with getting a good feel for hitting these shots, all right? So what we want to do is first, just pick one wedge for right now, maybe the one you use the most. I have a 54 degree here, so I'm going to use this wedge to demonstrate, a couple different shots and how we want to go about it. So let's talk about the first shot, which is going to be one of the lower shots. I like to call it a half swing. So when we talk about half and three-quarter and full, many people use different pieces to understand like what is going half. Some people do, left arm would be half. Some people say, the club is at half. So for me, honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's for you. You have to understand your system. So for me, what I like to feel as a half swing would be when my left arm is parallel to the ground. I consider this half, this three-quarter, and then going all the way, to the top of my swing, which is about right here to the full, okay? So three-quarter and full are pretty close, but the half swing is definitely one that's going to be a little bit more of that limited shot. Now, what's important is that whatever distance you pick on the way back, you want to try to get the club to stop there on the way through too. For example, left arm parallel on the way back to right arm parallel on the way through. And this would give you your half swing. So you have to practice that range of motion in order to become comfortable with it so that you can make a nice smooth rhythmic swing over the golf ball. Otherwise, it's really hard to hit those soft, delicate shots whenever you're not too confident with making a shorter swing, okay? So some of the things that are going to help you out with making better contact when you're making that shorter swing is your setup position. So when I am having a limited distance shot, I like to get one a little closer to the ball, and then I also like to bring my feet in a little bit closer. So this can vary depending on the person, whatever's comfortable for you. But if I'm making a half swing, I'm only going to have a little bit more than an iron hit in between my feet, and I want to have the ball position in the middle of my feet here, right? I want my head and my nose right over top of the golf ball, and then I really feel like I am keeping my pressure the same throughout the swing. What I mean by that is as I'm setting up here, I have about 55 to 60% of my pressure on my left foot here. So as I start my swing, I'm keeping that I'll just call it 60%. I'm keeping that 60% on my left leg as I rotate back, still 60 as I'm coming down, and then when I come into contact, it goes beyond. It goes to 70, 80, and then probably closer to 90% as I finish. So at no point in the swing do we want our pressure or our head or our body to move backwards to try to help the shot in the air. This is the most common thing, especially whenever you want to hit the golf ball high. A lot of times we don't trust the loft of our club and we try to and help it up into the air. That's where you're going to get most of your issues from, okay? So you just want to practice staying on that 60% of that left leg, your lead leg, and make some practice swings and try to get used to that feel, okay? So I'm going to put my pressure there, 60%, halfway back, halfway through, okay? Try it again, 60%, halfway back, halfway through. Notice how my head and my body is staying very steady. Halfway back, halfway through, okay? And also the power level, you want to try to keep that the same. I'm not adding a lot of force here. This is very much letting the weight of the club do a lot of the work. So my arms feel pretty lackadaisical. I'm not adding a bunch of extra energy. I'm just keeping that pressure on that left side, taking the club back, taking the club through, okay? So once you get comfortable with that motion and being able to hit the ground in the same spot, then you want to try to hit some golf balls. But it's very important that you get that motion down first before you try to keep hitting shots. Many times people just rush in to try to hit golf balls. You want to see that result immediately, and then whenever the golf ball doesn't fly well, then you start to lose progress in your form, and you start doing other things to compensate just to try to hit the ball straight, okay? You want to make sure that you got these pieces down first before you start hitting some. So get comfortable in the setup, about an iron hit apart, ball position in the middle, 60% pressure on my left side, halfway back, halfway through. So something to point out here, if we look at the club hit speed and the ball speed, they are pretty close to matching there, okay? Club hit speed and ball speed, which gives me a smash factor that is right around 1. Smash factor is the ratio of club hit speed to ball speed. Whenever you're hitting these wedges, it's really nice to have a smash factor that is close to 1, which meaning that the power that you're putting into the shot in your swing is the output or the energy of the ball going out. This is how you develop a really good feel. This is how a tour player can get the ball to land 46 yards right on the front edge, you know, to that front pin and get the ball to stop. It's by being able to match up that feel whenever you have those shots inside of 100 yards, okay? So let's try another one. We'll see if we can get a similar number, okay? And what you want to do when you're practicing this is you want to hit these shots over and over again. The distance doesn't matter. You don't want to like shoot for the number and try to swing to that. You want to try to make the same swing over and over again, and then take that average carry number, and then you have a very exact one. So if you're trying to shoot for 50 yards, but your comfortable swing makes the ball go 56, then like forget the 50-yard swing. We can make adjustments to make it go 50, but I want you to be very comfortable with that particular swing. So when you know you get 56 yards to the pin, you're going to feel very confident about that, okay? So let's see if we can do that same thing. Ball position middle, feet about an iron hit apart, halfway back, halfway through. Ball speed a little faster there. All right, pretty close, got a little bit more on that one. I hit the ground a little bit more, kind of pinched it, so the ball speed came out a little bit faster. The smash factor is still close to 1, all right? And we got the club hit speed similar to the last one also. So you just want to keep doing this over and over again. I recommend you hit about 10 golf balls in a row with the same feel, the same setup, and see if you can get an average carry number from that, and then you'll really have something good, okay? Set up, feet, ball position middle, halfway back, halfway through. All right, so I must have leaned that one a little bit more forward. That ball speed came out a lot faster. Club hit speed was similar, but those are some of the varieties that you're going to run into, okay? So when it comes to the ball speed changing, that a lot of times has to do with the dynamic loft. How much shaft lean did you come in whenever you hit that shot, okay? So tour players, there are 2 things that they do very, very, very well. Very consistent, and they can control it. And that is your low point and your dynamic loft. So low point is just where the club is bottoming out at the golf swing. Not where it's hitting the ground, but the lowest point of the arc, okay? The bottom of the swing is moving like this. So wherever the lowest point of that is the low point, okay? When you can control that, then you can control the type of contact you're going to get on the golf ball, and sometimes you have to be able to change that depending on the type of lie that you have, whether you're in the rough or sitting down in the rough or in the fairway, so on and so forth, okay? And then dynamic loft is, again, just how much shaft lean do we have compared to straight up and down. Okay, so when you're straight up and down, this is when the wedge is 54 degrees, and only when it's straight up and down. As I start to move my handle forward, as I'm coming through impact, maybe my club is only at 48 degrees now. So that's going to make the ball come out a lot faster. It's going to have a little bit more of a piercing ball flight versus rolling up the club face more with more loft, okay? So whenever it comes to controlling how far your ball is going to carry, your trajectory has a big piece of that too. So that's why it's really important to be able to control what type of loft you're bringing back to the ball. And one of the simplest ways to do that is to try to control it with your setup. So what I mean by that is if the ball position's in the middle and I want to drive one a little bit lower, maybe the pin's in the back or the wind is blowing in my face a little bit more, so then I would set up and just have the club leaning a little bit more forward. Ball position's still middle, but my body's a little bit lower and my hands are a little bit more forward because I want to come in and impact with this same type of setup. Now I've got lots of shaft lean and you should hit that ball a lot lower. Vice versa, let's say the green is elevated and the pin is in the front, and without trying to get too fancy and hit a flop shot, we can change the trajectory just with the setup. Ball position can still be middle, but then you're going to set up with the club a little bit more straight up and down, so I have more of the true loft of the club here instead of, you know, a different dynamic loft. So here, setting up here, and then your focus is to try to get the club back to that same spot. So wherever you're setting up, try to get your impact to that same position, and that can help you control the trajectory of your wedges also. So obviously this comes with a lot of practice. There's so much stuff that you can do. Like I said, if you have a TrackMan and you have these numbers, it's great, but if not, you don't need the technology to do it. Many people did this. I remember as a kid just going out into the field with cones, soccer drill cones, putting cones out every 10 yards just so I had a visual of how far the ball was flying, okay? Not that I was trying to hit the cone, but just, again, doing the half swing and seeing the average of where those balls are landing and then how far they're rolling out from there, and then doing my 3/4 swing and my full swing, doing the same thing. And then whenever you go to walk and pick them up, you really get to see, you know, the distance in between. So, and then you can jot down on a little notepad, you know, each distance and the average, and then come up with your nice little wedge system here. So I always had a little notebook in my golf bag that would keep, you know, my 52 degree at a 3/4 swing was 90 yards, and then the 3/4 with power was 110 yards, and then my 60 degree 3/4 was 79 yards. So like I still remember those distances. Once you have that system down and you train it over and over again, you have a really good chance to have a really solid short game, and that is what it's all about when it comes to scoring, okay? So if you want to improve your scoring, you want to get better at those 100-yard shots, you have to break your swing down. I recommend at least 3 to start with, as in half, 3/4, full. That way you have a good understanding and you have a lot of variety in the shots that you can hit inside of 100 yards. You don't always have to hit that lob wedge 100 yards just because you can. It could be a 52 degree at a 3/4 swing, okay? And then also, once you get those baseline numbers down, then you can start to mess around with other variables, as in 3/4 back, halfway through, or 3/4 back and full through, and you can come up with a lot of different varieties and just kind of take note to how the ball may fly different, how the trajectory may fly different. So there's just a lot of things that you can do to really dial in that short game. So this is just a little small overview of some of the things that you can do in order to improve that. And let me know which way you like best. Let me know if you have a wedge system already. I would love to hear below in the comments.